So welcome to the Tuesday, October 13th, 2020 virtual meeting of the Evanston Preservation Commission. The first thing we need to do is to do a roll call vote to approve holding a virtual meeting by Zoom. So I'll call each commissioner's name, and if you can indicate if you're in favor. There's Elliot also. Commissioner Bojan.
Present.
You need to vote yes on holding the, or no, on holding the meeting by Zoom.
Yay, I vote yes, positive.
Commissioner Hecker.
Yes.
Commissioner Reinhold.
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes.
Commissioner Idle.
Yes.
Commissioner Dudnick. Elliot, you're muted.
I was tempted to vote no in principle because I hadn't yet come on when you spoke about the motion. No
Okay.
problem. Yes.
And Commissioner Simon's a yes, so unanimously in favor. For those of you who have not attended our meetings or need a reminder, our procedure is as follows. Each applicant on the agenda will be permitted to present its application. And when you do so, please take us through the most important parts of the presentation, even if they're in the packet, as although I think we've all reviewed them, usually there's plenty of additional elucidation that the applicant can bring to the application for us to understand it better. After that, the commissioners can ask questions, and then we'll give the any members of the public an opportunity to speak. Please keep the comments to a couple minutes a person, then any final discussion and a vote. I would ask each speaker to, before they start speaking, to identify themselves for the recording and state in which capacity they're speaking. So the first matter of, I think there's no old business, of new business is 318 to 320 Dempster Street. Who is speaking on this matter?
Hello, my name is Mary Griswold. I live at 318 Dempster. I believe I will be speaking since our solar contractor who said he was going to be able to attend may not be able to be here.
He's coming back from Springfield.
Yeah, he was on a trip to Springfield, so he may be joining us from an automobile at some point, but I could certainly make an attempt to go through the packet. I haven't prepared it, but I have reviewed it and it seems to be pretty thorough. This is a computer simulation. It's missing the stable at 318 and a half Dempster, which blocks a fair amount of the view of the south elevation of the house. We are, this is a double house. It's a landmark building designed by Daniel Burnham, and the owners of the other half at 320 are going in with us on this solar project. I mean, it's a joint project of both sides of the house. So that's why it's one application, but there are two owners involved, just to clarify that. So this is a view, these are different views from nothing that anyone on the street is going to see. That first view is from on the 320 side. But this is I believe, probably taken by a drone that was scouting out the location. So that's what that picture is. There's a number of these aerial views which show the roof. One of the things I would point out is our roof was damaged in the April hailstorm. So in looking into solar options, many providers were very hesitant or had issues about wood shingle roofs. And so when the opportunity, came along because of the hailstorm to redo our, oops, am I still there? Help.
Yes, we can hear you.
Something happened. Oh, there, I'm back in action. Anyway, the idea of being able to do the mounting hardware when the shingles were off the roof was very helpful. So this is a general site layout showing the panels on the south upper section of the roof. This is, I believe, the electrical hookup of how this all works.
This is the attachment plan. Sorry, everybody. I was having some connectivity issues, but because I'm working off a hotspot. But this is Jeremy from Fresh Coast Solar. We are the Illinois licensed contractor that's hopefully going to be constructing this project. So I can speak to any questions you guys have. If I missed any questions at the beginning, I apologize. But yeah, I can run through anything you guys need here.
Jeremy, they've asked us to just sort of take them through the packet. So we're on, I believe, the third or fourth page that goes into the various electrical details and what the panels are like and the inverters,
Yep.
the mounting hardware. I don't know if you can.
So I'm not sure if I have control over what page we're on, but it looks like Mary did a good job kind of breaking down the first page. If you want to go back to that attachment page, or the second page on the plan set, I can pick it up from there. Yep. So if you see here, we've got on the north side of the building, Dempster Street. To the east, there is a alley, and to the west of the house, there's an alley. And then behind there's a private drive between the house and the and that detached structure, which is no longer part of the house. It's owned by a separate person. So basically, on the main kind of right-of-way there on Dempster Street, this array will be totally unseeable because it is on the rear of the house. Now, I've provided some photos and a little bit of a computer mock-up of what you can see from the ground if you are in the alley, but from the public way there, it is you can't really see any bit of change with the panels on the back side of the house. So any questions? Can you guys hear me? I was kind of, you guys were cutting out a little bit.
You're breaking up a little bit, but anyway, we could entertain questions if anyone has some.
Not really.
Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. As I understood it, the wood shingle roof is being removed because it was already in bad shape.
It was damaged in the hailstorm.
What is it being replaced with?
Wood shingles.
Oh, it still will be wood shingle.
Oh, yes.
Okay. You're only doing this side, or you're also doing the north face?
Oh, no, we're doing all of the roof. We're doing the flat roof section in the back, which is a bitumen and, membrane type procedure. And we're also replacing shingles that are on the gable ends, east and west, which were also damaged in the hailstorm. So it's quite an extensive renovation because of the storm.
Is the skylight yours, or is that your neighbor? I wasn't clear on who was who.
That's our neighbor at 320 who has joined us, Scott Roberts. He's down in the corner on my Zoom array. And he can speak to that.
Oh, sorry, it's on the wrong camera.
Yeah, there it is. I see a tray.
Oops, my camera's not working. Sorry. There we go.
Hi, Scott.
Hi. Thank you. Sorry, I was working.
Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's we're excited about mostly about the energy replacement and helping the environment, and that area. I just wanted to share, like, that is very closed off from the rest of the community. So it's really hard to see anything from because the alley on our side of it is really narrow. You can't, in the angle of the roof, you can't really see much of that roof, that part of the roof at all from any public area.
Was there any member of the public who wished to speak to this matter? Is there any other discussion or questions from the commissioners? No. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 318 and 320 Dempster Street, a landmark in the Lakeshore Historic District, for the installation of solar panels on the rear south-facing roof. Applicable standards include alteration 1 through 10.
A second? Right, I'll second. Okay, all in favor, Commissioner Bodan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Idle,
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick,
Aye.
and Commissioner Simon is an aye, so unanimously in favor. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
The second project is 612 Judson Avenue.
Can everyone hear me and see me?
Yes.
Okay. It's not a glass, it's my face, I hope. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. This Zoom gives me anxiety. So hi again, everybody. I'm Rada Portzer, owner of 612 Judson. Good to see you all again. So here we are again. We're trying to tackle another project of this home. The Cedar shingle siding is, as you can see, in pretty severe disrepair, and there is a portion of the sunroom that during heavy rain is getting soaked. So it was kind of a timely issue as well to try to tackle this on the sooner side. We basically did our research again, trying to figure out something that would look as close to the appearance of the home, the original appearance of the home, and also trying to have this be as economical as possible, given that we still have a million projects for this home. So we got estimates for both cedar shingle siding as well as hardy shingle siding. And it became pretty clear that on average, there was about a $20,000 to $30,000 difference between hardy shake and cedar shake. So we were really hoping that you guys would be comfortable with us going with the hardy shake, given that it's a good product. We don't have to worry about paint and maintenance as well. And yeah, I mean, I welcome any questions or concerns. We did discuss with the contractor that we were going to use, that we were hoping we could use, if he could do the corners in the same way. And I forgot, Carlos, what you called that, but we noticed that the corners had a very specific way of coming together where it was every other side. And he's comfortable with this. So yeah, I mean, we would make it look essentially the same as it does, just not so torn up.
Yeah, we call miter corners when they
Okay,
meet
that was
the two pieces.
right. That's it. Yes. And they were comfortable with this. We had asked them before you had emailed us, actually. Some of these were photos. So this page is, we measured basically the base of the shingles and the exposure, and we researched it, and we are able to do the same with the hardy shingles. You can adjust it. So we would be able to have the same exposure for the new shingles with hardy board.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah,
So-
I have a quick question. I like that you're able to adjust the reveal to match the existing. How will you go about matching the width? I know here on this is the perfect slide here. You pointed out that there's different widths that are shown also. Can you mimic that in the new material as well?
Yes, actually the actual panel has varying widths as well. And you can cut them too. So if you somehow want to adjust it some more, that's possible. But I believe the actual panel that Hardy offers is varying widths, which is what our home has as well.
So can I don't know if you can do this. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but because those piers are tapered, so with the and I've never used the hardy board shingles, you have to cut them like
Yes.
as they, so basically they're just, you can do that. You don't need any corner boards or anything. He's going to
No.
miter everything.
Correct. We would keep them the same. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so you'll do at the exposure is 5.5. So you will do 5.5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't have I mean, that is, you would have to go with a different product if it was 5. We have products that are 7 to 5 and then 5 and I don't know, whatever below that, but we can go with the standard 7 to 5 and keep it at 5.5.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
In the earlier photos, Carlos was zipping through them so quickly. There was a lot of rotted wood. Where is all that? It's one of the first photos. Down there, the one in the bottom two. One is where the girls got in, is right above it.
Yes. So the one above it, that is at where the sunroom roof meets our master bedroom wall. And the interesting thing is that there was flashing installed in that area, but the shingles above were, because they were damaged, the rain was coming in above the flashing and coming down into what you see on the slide to the right, into the sunroom. The white shingles are in the sunroom.
Okay.
And then the squirrel home is in the pillar.
Get them out first. Trust me.
No, I know. We already had that too. Right when we moved in.
a nest is at least 8.
Yes. We know and we went from a condo, so all of this was kind of traumatizing.
Was there any member of the public here to speak to this matter? No. Any further questions or comments by, I don't think that was a commissioner, right, commissioners? No. Would someone like to make a motion to approve? Elliot, please.
I move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for 612 Judson Avenue in the Lakeshore Historic District, case 20 Pres 0289, to replace the cedar shingles on the home with hardy shingles on all facades. And the shingle installation will have the same exposure as the existing cedar. Applicable standards for alteration 1 through 10.
Thank you. Second? Julie seconded. All right, roll call vote. Commissioner Bojan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Idle, Commissioner Dudnick,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So all in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
The next matter is 735 Sheridan Road.
I think I'm here.
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see.
Again, okay. Can't see me.
No.
Okay. Am I doing something, do you think?
Is your camera on?
My host has asked me to start my video. There we are. Okay, good. Good. I'm Ken Hazlett. I'm the architect for this project. This is and I assume that Carlos or someone will bring the packet up. There we are. This is a kind of classic brick colonial home, early 20th century, 735 Sheridan, and it goes all the way to Lake Michigan. The work that we would like to do, the owners would like to do, is the sunroom in the back, which you can see in that elevation right there. It's really collapsing. They've lived there for 25 years and it's been slowly deteriorating. It is an interior room. It's heated, air conditioned, but the structure has just been insufficient and is really failing now. So we would like permission to rebuild it in the same location, not expanding it, with new windows, new roof, all of that. And then in addition, they have right now no exterior space, private space on the back of their house. They have to basically go down the stairs and walk down to the lakefront. And they'd like to have a small covered back porch, really. It's an open back porch with a sloped roof on the back of the house. It's kind of an extension of the sunroom. If you looked at the either the north elevation or the south elevation, which is on the next sheet of elevations, there we are. It kind of cascades down. The house has a sloped roof and it comes down to the flat roof of the sunroom, which is just a rebuilding of what's there already. And then the sloped roof and the stairs kind of cascade down to the ground level, and I think extend that same feeling. Everything is in the back of the house. Nothing is visible from Sheridan Road, and we would like to have new kind of Marvin windows in the sunroom, because the old windows that are there now are just old single pane things that are really falling down. There's a little model. I always build a little model, and it shows the side there. Everything is existing except for the covered porch that extends down. We were going to have an ornamental iron railing just to keep it up and open so you both from inside the sunroom and on the porch you could see down to the lakefront, because that's the big move here. You can see that as it moves around. That would be from the south side.
Is that the presentation?
That's it.
Um,
Glad.
I did have one aspect. I didn't quite understand the drawings on the,
Sure.
we go back to the drawings of the, I think it said north side.
Okay, the south. There's the north there. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So where the existing like sun porch is,
Yes. Mhm.
it looks like below the windows on the second floor, there's like on the existing, it looks like it's a band of brick, which I didn't actually see in the photograph. And then it's,
That's the garage that is next to it. Maybe if you move to the bottom, you can see the garage actually sticks out beyond that. There's an existing one-car garage attached to the house. If you go back to the model, I think you could see it a little bit better and kind of rotate around. You'll see it, right? It's to the right there in that. And if you go one more, that's it. There, you see there's a one-story garage next to it. It's all existing. And we're not going to change that, of course.
yeah, that actually wasn't the question.
Oh, sorry.
Yours was the one up at the top on the second floor, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Up on the top.
on the second floor. I mean, again, if you go back to the
Sure.
comparison of the elevations,
Yes. Mhm.
maybe I just didn't understand it, but on the existing elevation on the second floor below the window, it looks like it's drawn as brick.
Yeah, that's true. That's the brick. If you have an existing, that is the brick of the existing kind of adjoining part of the house that's exposed there, but we've raised the ceiling, raised the roof of the new sunroom so that wouldn't be visible any longer.
Gotta ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
Waiting for Mark to call on me.
Go ahead, Elliot, please.
Okay. Well, when we're looking at this, as I understand it, you're raising the ceiling height inside that sunroom to be virtually almost to the sill height of that adjoining trellis thing to the, I guess it would be which way, to the south.
Yeah, that's part of the house, right? That's actually an enclosure of the house. We're not raising the ceiling inside, but we are raising the level of the roof, because what we're trying to do is to get some pitch on this roof to take the water off of it. It's a flat roof, which right now has virtually no pitch, and so inside that the water would come down and run kind of like a parapet wall, and the water would run down and then run through downspouts and out to the grade.
Oh wait, there's this raised portion which has some kind of paneling.
That's
Then
right.
you extend out with a porch that has a roof that looks like it's some sort of metal standing seam roof.
It's a copper roof, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's the addition of the porch, and then you've raised everything up, and all the windows have become doors and whatever else on the original sunroom.
Yeah, there's sliding doors that, instead of large fixed windows, is what they have right now, that would give you access to the rear porch.
Before we go any further, Scott and Carlos, if this is all facing the lake, there is no public way anymore. Should we be looking at this case?
If indeed it's not visible, then no.
I thought that's what has come down on all the lakeside portions of the.
Isn't it any of it visible from the side, Ken?
You know, you very, no, I really don't think so. You could see from maybe that front elevation of the house, the existing front elevation, because the houses are actually relatively close together here. And you'd have to see all the way back and then 10 feet into the house as well. Maybe you could see that on the site plan as much as anything. Oop, the site plan, go forward one if you could. Oop, there it is, on the left-hand side. You can see the house. It's quite unusual here because the house is literally all the way over to the north lot line on the left-hand side, the north lot line. And the porch is 10 foot over, 12 foot over, sorry, into the site. So you really can't see it even between the houses. Looking down over there, you can't see it.
Can you go back to the photos? Because I think that makes it clearer.
Sure.
Didn't think you can see it. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say potentially from Kedzie. You know, there are a couple lots, I think, that used to be developed along Kedzie. They're now vacant. And that's a public way by Clark Square Park. So conceivably, you could see from Kedzie or Clark Square Park.
Ken, there seems to be like a alley or a right of way south of 735 Sheridan between 735 and 727. Is that private or is that actually an alley?
It's not an alley.
Sort of an L shape that goes parallel to 735 and then goes south behind 727.
727. Yeah, there's no alley there. There's a driveway, a shared driveway on the right-hand side, but there's certainly no alley that goes down there.
I'm sorry, I couldn't think what you, did you hear my question?
Yeah, there's no
right
alley.
away or alley that is, I'm
No,
sorry?
it's the driveway on the south is half on this property and half
That's
on
right.
the adjoining.
That's right.
On the site plan, you can see that it's only half a driveway.
Right. There's a shared driveway there. That's correct.
Okay, okay.
Scott, could we go back just to the front view of the house just to see that?
Sure.
This is the back.
All right. So you're not going to see it.
Really?
Well, you obviously can't see it from the north because that's where that garage is.
Right.
And the part he's doing is really to the left of this doorway and back.
That's
So I'm
correct.
not sure you would see it from the south either.
No.
So the question is there anywhere, Scott, you were saying possibly over on Kedzie looking west?
Yeah, so this property is the third property south from Kedzie. So I'd say to the northeast of this site, from Clark Square Park or Kedzie itself. There's a section where there used to be, I believe, 2 houses located, and those were demolished some years back. So those are vacant lots. So there may be a view, you know, from the northeast looking southwest in Kedzie.
I've been over there myself. I can tell you right now, you can't see over there, but I think it's maybe because of the fences. There's
There is
fences.
landscaping and vegetation there, which typically the
over there.
commission doesn't look at as a
Yeah.
construction.
We're going to take a picture there to show you, but there you can't see anything.
Scott, could you move forward to the drawing that shows a kind of a cross section through the, I still don't quite understand how the roof structure of this is working and how, what exactly we're approving. It's like the 6th page of this.
There you are. There's a section there.
That section drawing. So really the flat roof is lower.
Right.
Then the sloped roof comes up and forms a parapet wall. Is that what?
That's correct. That's exactly right. I'm sorry. I didn't explain that very clearly, did I? It gives us a decent slope.
Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, it's okay.
Does that parapet extend all the way around? So it's going to
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, does that parapet then wrap the north?
it has, yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks that way.
Mhm. Correct.
Is that that's just a roof area though? That's not an accessible balcony that they're
It's
gonna.
not. No, it's not.
What is that material? On this drawing, you won't know because the roof hides it, but when it's exposed, what were you using
On the flat part of the roof or the
on that exposed parapet that you'd see on the north?
yeah, the parapet, I like to actually have a cap that's wrapped in the copper because the copper roof, sloped copper roof comes up and wraps that on the top. You might be able to see that. I don't know if I built it that precisely on there on the model, kind of that cap at the top of that roof. And then down inside, it's a rubber roof, a bitumen rubber roof.
Well, the model makes it look like you've got another roof on top, but what you're showing us in section is that surface that we see here doesn't exist.
There's a recess down in there. I'm sorry if that's not clear on the model. See, I actually have the model behind me. I could kind of tip it.
It's just a parapet. It wraps around and it's a little swimming
The
pool.
model doesn't look like a parapet. On the section, it looks like it's about a 2 foot high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand what the material is that we're looking at above those doors.
So above the
It's
sliding
a
glass
wood
door.
panel.
It's a wood panel. Yeah, we would create a recessed wood panel, right? Exactly. Rather than have just an expanse, we were going to create a panel, a wood panel.
And the side of the roof of the porch is also a wood panel.
It is. Mm-hmm. That's correct. I lost my video. I hope you guys didn't, for some reason.
Oh, you're still here.
Okay, I can
And
see
then-
myself. I just can't see the drawing. So, but
And then there's an interior gutter or something.
that's it. There's an interior scupper, an interior gutter that takes that water out and it runs down, splashing on grade. That's correct.
Uh-huh.
Are there any other copper elements on the existing part of the house, or is
You
the
know, if you go
copper-
out to the front door, it has a kind of ornamented entry. It is a metal roof. It's been painted. Sorry, but because my video is somehow dropped out. You can't see it. Maybe, I can hold it up.
Oh, I
The
see
front
it.
part of the house, right here.
Yeah, I see it.
You can see there's a sloped metal roof on the entry feature
Okay,
and columns as well.
okay.
And so we're
Okay.
going to kind of partying off that for the open porch in the back with the columns and and I thought the copper roof would look good.
And then the doors on the porch are, I didn't see. What are they?
They are Marvin sliding French doors is what they are. So that you can
Sliding.
open them. Yeah, sliding French doors rather than the swinging French doors. Right now, the existing doors are, there's the one set of swinging French doors and then the rest is all fixed. It doesn't operate at all. It doesn't ventilate the space or anything.
Why have you completely abandoned divided lights and all of those elements that were not only in the existing porch, but are really characteristic of almost all the other openings on the house?
To be honest with you, we could add the divided lights in. I think it was just a preference of the owner, but I think they'd be amenable to adding the divided lights because they do exist on the rest of the house. Sure.
I think that would help the scale.
Yeah, sure.
There's also a particular rhythm to the way some of those openings were handled. I'm
Yeah.
not even just talking about the little row of windows across the top on the original porch, which you also get a little of on that upper, I guess, sunroom to the, whatever that is, south. I mean, all of this is just sort of this flat facade. And I think this addition of all this wood paneling doesn't seem to use that same, the way they handled it on the original house. I mean, I'm somewhat bothered by this metal roof too. And, all of these seem to be very, very new design elements that didn't exist in the original house.
Yeah, but Elliot, just look at the porch that was there. I'm just saying, look at the porch that was there. It actually just like slams right into the coining at the corners. I don't think there was a whole, I'm just saying in terms of what it's replacing, which was there.
Yeah, but I'm not sure you can do much about the roof once you extend it out, assuming you've decided that it's going to slope down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also, Elliot, it's a distinctively separate, addition to the back of the house, which, by preservation principles can be, doesn't necessarily need to be the same as the rest of the house. And I do think it, bears some relationship, even if it's different materials and slightly different design.
I thought that the slope roof actually helped it kind of, the building is quite, massive and monumental in the back when you're approaching it from the yard or whatever. And this allows it kind of come down to a little more human level. That was the goal, at least.
So are those panels just giant pieces of what? There's they're big. So what are they?
We usually layer it up, out of, exterior grade, finished, smooth but exterior grade boards or plywood, but we don't have raw edges or anything. And then we kind of layer it out so that there's a change in plane there. And you have a recessed panel. It's a flat panel, but it's a recessed panel. And
then it's all painted white?
It's all painted white because all the trim on the house is white. That's correct. That's correct. If you look at the second story above the house to the left, it has some solid areas. They're not as big as this, but you would see those on the, I guess, the elevation, the east elevation. They would be.
Yeah, and those picture windows on that, they probably aren't original necessarily.
I know,
are they?
They aren't. I agree.
So.
Okay, is there, we'll come back to the commissioners. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to this matter? Is there additional discussion from any of the commissioners? No. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness?
I'll move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for 735 Sheridan Road in the Lakeshore Historic District for reconstruction of the sunroom and addition of a new open porch. Standards 1 through 10 of alteration and standards for construction 1 through 5, 7, 8, and 10 through 15. And standards for demolition 1 through 6 apply.
Second?
Second.
Commissioner Reinhold? Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Bojan?
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker?
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Idle?
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick?
Nay.
And Commissioner Simon, yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
900 Edgemere Court.
Two of them.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I noticed that it was two different certificates of appropriateness for the same property. So the first one is the installation of the solar array.
Yes. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And can you see my video? Oh, there we go. Okay. This is my first time using Zoom meeting, so thank you for the opportunity to learn learn how to do this online.
Before you continue, can you tell us your name, please?
Sure. My name is Paul Shausne. I am a president of Eco Solar Solutions. We're the contractor that's the GC for the solar photovoltaic installation.
Thank you.
We are doing everything from the design, engineering, installation, and maintaining of the system afterwards. So this building is a historic building, but it's also very, very amazing. It's really been a pleasure to get the opportunity to be able to work on this, and I hope that we can move forward with this. We had a pretty sorry, I have a question. Do I go through the presentation myself because I have the plans and everything? Should I share it with my screen, or will you be going through the plans?
I mean, can you see what's on the screen right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I mean, you can guide Scott through what you want to show, but you should take us through the highlights of the presentation sufficiently so we can see, what you're doing and where and what it's going to look like.
Sure. So if we can move forward and go to the permit plans prior to looking at the pictures. So I would like to first explain what is the scope of work that we will be doing. Okay, so that's the Platus. That was the Platus survey that we saw of the property, and this is the system that we would like to install. So this array or this system comprises of two arrays. There is the larger array on a flat roof that's at the top of a third story, and there is a smaller array that has 8 modules that is on top of the first floor. Oh, sorry, I should say second floor of the home. There's quite a bit amount of trees all around throughout the property. If you can move forward to the next slide, please. So here we can see the array in relation to the street, the public street, Edgemere Court. To the south of the building, that's where I believe Sheridan Road takes a turn. So this community is like a little bit gated, basically. You can't go through Sheridan onto Edgemere with a vehicle. It takes a turn going west. On the west side of on the other side of Edgemere Court, so east of the building, is another building. So there are residential homes there. Then on the west side of the property is the alley. So the driveway goes into the alley, and then right adjacent to the alley are other properties. If you can move to the next slide, please. Okay. This is the, so we are using a racking system that will allow us to minimize completely the exposure of the solar array. If you can go to the next slide, please. So since the long sides of the building are facing east and west, we are also going to have the solar modules facing east and west. As opposed to typically when you have a flat roof installation, you will have modules that will be facing south at a 10-degree tilt. And what will happen is the top edge of the panels will protrude about 10 to 12 inches from the roof. Here, because we are on such a high flat roof, which is 38 feet tall, and then the panels will be at a 10-degree tilt. They're going to be 1.5 feet from the edge of the roof, and they will be facing east and west. You will not be able to see these modules anywhere from any of the public driveway, street. You would have to be over 1,000 feet away to really get to see that panel at all. But by then, the distance won't even actually allow you to even make out what is there at all. If you can move forward to the next slide, please. So that's something that we wanted to show you here, that how far away you would have to be as a person in order to actually see the solar modules themselves on top of the flat roof. So when you're looking at it from the south elevation, that's when you will see modules facing east and west. So you'll be looking at the side of the array. At the east elevation, that's when you're actually facing the solar panels. There are the ones that are facing east are towards you. There are ones that are facing west are behind those, and you won't be able to see those. Next slide, please. And as far as the aesthetics and the looks of the system, that's the end of that. If you could go back to the not the pictures, but the study that I created using 3D modeling. I wanted to show what the things will look like when we modeled the space and the neighborhood in 3D. Okay, so I have pictures to be able to show you what this looks like in real life, but I wanted to go through the 3D rendering first, so you really will be able to tell for yourself. So that's what the back alley looks like. So we are looking at the building, and you're standing facing east and looking at the west side of the building. So as you can see, the flat roof is pretty tall, 38 feet. No chance really of you being able to see anything. There is a air conditioning unit on the roof right now, and that's really the only thing that's already existing. But I just wanted to use that as a point that's really the only thing you will be able to see that is on the roof. Next slide, please. And so we're moving around the property, and this is the northeast corner. So from the other side, I actually made a mistake. This is the northwest corner. So we're just moving down the alley. We're walking a little bit south, and that's the northwest corner. There's quite a bit of trees in there, but you can actually see the building. Leaves. You can see through the tree. Next slide, please. Okay. And so now we have, walked around, and we are currently at the southeast corner of the array. So that's kind of the front of the house. That's the side that's facing Edgemere Court. Again, because of the height of the system and how inconspicuous it is, you won't be able to see anything. Next slide, please. And we're moving up up Edgemere Court a little bit, walking further north. That's the other side of that same side of the building. And if you can go to the next slide, please, you will see that that's what it will look like from. So here, this is what it would look like if we were at the park, which is around, I want to say, 300 feet. Or more from the building, and then we'll be able to view the pictures so you can actually see that itself again, what it will look like in real life. Next slide, please. Okay, so if we could go back to the pictures, please. Yeah, if we can start with the first one. Can we go back to the first slide? Thank you.
These files are pretty large, so it's having a tough time.
Oh yeah, I apologize. I just realized that when I was trying to, I thought I was going to be sharing my computer, and then it was 60 some megabytes to download. Okay, so I wanted to, this is kind of a site plan. The numbers actually correspond to that particular picture that was taken. So you'll be able to tell for yourself, you know, we try to really get a 360-degree perimeter view. Of course, except for going to the neighbor's house there on the north of the building, north of the property. So we will be taking a walk through the through the alley onto the sidewalk opposite of crossing the street of Sheridan Road, and then going to the park. The park is picture number 6, and we're going back. So if you can go through these pictures slowly, and we can see the evolution of the point of view. Yeah. So in the end, we would be really excited to be able to make this project happen. I think it's, you know, it's amazing architecture that would be meeting the new technology, and the fact that you really won't be able to see it at all, and the building will be providing its own energy. That is really exciting for us and the homeowner. This concludes my presentation. Questions, please.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, hi. Are you using the same installation where the panels face both directions on that lower roof? Or excuse me, I guess it's on the higher
Yes,
roof.
on the lower roof. Yeah. It's a lower roof, the one that's further back where we only have 8 modules.
Right. Are you using that same installation where they face both directions, or is that a different detail?
Those modules are facing south and north.
Given that they're all pretty much flat, how efficient are they?
How efficient are the solar modules?
Yeah. I mean,
So
orientation.
So this was an interesting case because of the amount of tree coverage that we have here. When I run the shading analysis, typically you would be losing about, I want to say 10 to 12% of production because you're facing east and west versus facing south. However, because of the amount of tree coverage that we had already, this system is being handicapped only by 2%. I'm talking about the top array there. It's only being handicapped by 2% because it's facing east and west. So furthermore, if we had modules facing south, because of the inter-row spacing, so we would have to have a panel that would protrude up, then we would have to have 15 inches of space so that panel doesn't shade the panel behind it, and it would go on like that and so forth. So we would only be able to install 9.5 kilowatts of solar versus here, because there is no inter-row spacing, we are able to install 12.5 kilowatts.
Any other questions from the commission?
I had a quick question about, I guess I'm looking at this plan in terms of the conduit and anything that's coming down. Is there anything coming down the exterior side of the house to power the solar, or is that interior?
So we are running the conduit completely inside. So let me actually address these separately because we have two separate arrays. So for the higher roof, there is an elevator shaft where you will see those two little lonely panels. That's above an elevator shaft. So we are doing in the roof itself, we're doing one penetration for the conduit and then running that conduit through the elevator shaft. So there won't be any conduit on the outside of the building. For the other array, which is basically on top of the sunroom, we will be running conduit there. It's going to see the arrow that says conduit run, that's actually inside, it's not outside. So I just want to make that clear. Okay. But we would go, that array that's above the sunroom, we figured out exactly how we would want to run the conduit, which is we would go to the edge of the roof, which is facing west. There's a garage there, and so the property is pretty vast there. And we would run along the gutter. All the gutters on this building are actually copper. So obviously, it looks like Statue of Liberty, basically. But we would run the conduit along that gutter, and then we would go into the house in the basement. But that conduit run, you won't be able to see it from anywhere because, like I said, it's next to a garage. And then you have the entire property on that side, on the west side, is fenced. So, that's also where the current meter is. So you can see the meter there for the building. The disconnect for the solar system will be next to the meter. That's according to National Electric Code, and that's pretty much it.
I've got a short question here, and this is only based on previous ones that we've seen. Isn't there some requirement of access for fire so that you need some spacing? I think we've seen some that have allowed some space for firemen to get around the panels.
Yeah, no, yes, there is. And so therefore we have a little bit of room to work with. We first wanted to go through, get through this committee here and file for permits and figure out how they would want us to leave access. So I have about 3 feet of space left on the roof. So we have about 2 feet on the eastern edge and a foot on the western edge. We could take out a row of modules if we have to. We would still have the column of panels that is facing east, tilted towards that way, and the one that's facing west would be tilted towards that way. But we could remove, about 6 modules if we have to in the middle for access.
So you haven't gone through this with the fire department yet?
We haven't gone through the permitting. They won't, well, I shouldn't say they won't review it, but the process is that we go through the historical committee and then we apply for permits.
Okay. Were there any members of the public who wish to speak to this item? Any further comments or questions from the commissioners? Alaka, do you want to make a motion?
I don't have my agenda in front of me, so I defer to somebody else.
Would somebody else like to make a Beth, please?
Sure, I can do it. Okay, for the property at 900 Edgemere Court, Landmore Lakeshore Historic District, case 20 PRES 0291. I move to grant the certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a solar photovoltaic array on the house roof. The applicable standards are for alterations 1 through 10.
A second.
Second.
Elliot, second. Roll call vote. Commissioner Bodan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Idle,
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick,
Aye.
and Commissioner Simon is yes. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So the other certificate of appropriateness for 900 Edgemere Court, it looks like Amy Reichart with respect
Chair Simon, the applicant called, sent an email as well saying that their client has changed their mind about the windows they want to use. So they will reschedule another meeting for this one.
So we don't need to, do we need to continue it?
No, because it will be a different, well, it will say if you continue, but it will be a different window system apparently. But I haven't received any more information about it other than they're not ready to
But really, it's a new application with a new window type. Yeah.
All right. So we can just consider the application withdrawn, it sounds like.
Is it withdrawn
Yes.
or are we
Yes.
postponing it, Carlos?
I'm sorry?
Is it withdrawn or are we just deferring it to the next meeting?
I think that they said that they're not going to present tonight. So because of the change of windows, so it could be continued with a new application. But I think the safe thing to do would be to withdraw it and then renotice with a different set of windows, if that's what they do.
Okay. All right. All right. So then I think we just can move on to the next matter.
Yes.
Is 1735 Asbury Avenue.
Yes, present.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Tom Rowland, owner of 1735 Asbury Avenue, as well as architect and representing the presentation and details here tonight.
You can start anytime, Tom.
Okay. I think up on the screen, I'm still seeing the solar green roof systems, but this is the house at 1735 Asbury Avenue. We are looking at doing a combination of work. It's a single residence family house. We're looking at doing some renovation on the main house. There's also an existing coach house that we're looking to renovate, potentially as part of this project. Here we go. And so there's a plethora of things we'll go through here tonight to talk about. Image on the upper left, you can see the site. We are sort of bracketed with one neighbor to the south, parking lot to the north between Asbury, Lyons, and Ridge. Directly to the east of our property, behind our property, we have a parking lot and I believe it's a 3-story commercial office building. And then to the south of that is the YWCA and their current expansion of their residence tower. So in essence, it's a residence tower. It's a commercial office building. There's one residence to the south, and then a parking lot for the commercial building and shared with the residential building that is north at Ridge, just off the screen there. Bottom images below start to represent the view from Asbury looking east. In the center is our house, 1735 Asbury. To the right is our neighbor's house to the south. And then to the left is the parking lot that supports the office and the residential space. The next slide then, here's the plat of survey, topo survey. So you can start to see, again, it's a 3-story, says aluminum sided house with stone. It still has the stone. We changed aluminum siding. It was done about 6 or 7 years ago. Front porch, there's a driveway that takes you to the back. And then you have an existing kind of little small mud room and a kind of goofy little open porch deck area that was there when we bought the house. Gravel lot area connecting the main house to the coach house that you see there. And then again to the south is grass and landscaping. Again, to the north, we have a fence. There's a privacy fence that we just installed last year through the permit process. This is a little tough to see, I apologize, but again, you see the main house. You can see we're proposing to do the demolition on the back of the main house, which is that little 5 by almost 10-foot wide mudroom. Then there is below that mudroom where it says the word wood, there are wood bifold doors that take you down to the basement egress stair. And then the wood deck would be removed, some of the concrete there, the concrete apron at the coach house. There's a pretty unsightly wood deck and stairs that take you up to the 2nd floor of the coach house. 1st floor is garage and storage. And then again to the property lines, you see lot 1 is to the east, and to the north is the parking lot and blacktop. And then to the south is my neighbor's driveway, their house. And then in the southeast corner is their 2-story garage that you see just on lot 8 there. Next slide then starts to show a little bit of what we're proposing. Again, I apologize that the smaller scale is probably tough to see, but what's being proposed is in the back of the main house, we're looking at coming off roughly, call it about 10 feet, give or take, and doing a covered porch. And that would extend pretty much, 7/8 the length of the back of the house. On the north side, you'll see that we're still maintaining the existing stairs. We're removing sort of the awning and the sort of storm attic enclosure of the existing stairs down to the basement and opening that up and going to allow that egress door free access, basically so kids can run in and drop their stuff in the basement. And then from that 10-foot out that would be a covered porch, what we're proposing is just an open deck area there with some trellis element above it. You'll see some pavers and things like that, and just patio stones connecting us to what would be a step-up patio for access into the coach house, and then renovation of the coach house and garage. Next slide then. All right, so these start to be a series of renderings. The top right, so here's the aerial rendering of the existing house with the proposed. So again, this is on the back side of the house facing the coach house. You can see the roof, the sloped roof there in the gray, and then the trellis area with the light wood decking below that. Then we'd have the space from that area to the coach house. The coach house, we're trying to maximize reuse of existing conditions and details. There are some things that we're tweaking and adding new, but again, trying to maximize reuse. The bottom 2 images, the bottom right image starts to be if you're standing in the gravel area between the coach house and the main house, looking back at the main house. And so you can really start to see the scope of the work here being the 10-foot-ish wide covered porch. You can start to see the stair access down that has guard railing and some wood railing and planters around it. 3 stairs up to an elevated deck, some planter elements and trellis work in there. Again, trying to evoke some of the sort of the features of this house, I think built in 1879 that we were told that was a little bit of an old farmhouse. So trying to bring some of those a little bit more current, but also stay within the language of the house. Image on the left then is looking back from the yard at the coach house. And again, a lot of the details and the dormers and things like that, and eyebrows trying to keep in place. We'd be talking about both for the coach house as well as the area being touched on the main house, doing new siding. I'm talking about hardy board siding in the light tan area. The darker gray would be a hardy board shake. We're looking at new windows in the areas that you see, again, under the roof on the main house, as well as on the coach house. These would be, again, we're pricing with our contractor now, but it would be in our hopes, Pella, Marvin, Anderson, aluminum clad, windows, white to match the existing house with probably painted wood interiors. Next slide then starts to show just a couple more details of the house. The top image there on the right starts to be as you were coming out of one of the exits from the main house. So you see the wood deck. Above your head would be the 10-foot covered roof with the trellis area, and then you're looking to the east to the coach house, and a little bit of roof and canopy there for the entrances there. The bottom right image starts to be showing you what that, again, that entrance to the coach house, the door on the left at grade would be into the garage. The door on the right would take you into a vestibule that would lead you to the second floor of the coach house. And then again, just some reuse of existing trim details and things like that with new siding, new windows, new porch. And then the bottom left image, again, just standing in the yard, looking back at the main house and starting to show again the work around the side of the house, the back of the house, and this new element being attached to the rear of the house, this porch and open deck area. Next plan, I believe, oh, sorry, here we're starting to look at the elevations. So this just gives you a snippet of, on the top of the plan is our existing side yard elevation. And again, it's a kind of a combination. So for context, gave you a photo of what's existing today on that side yard existing south. And so really there is a little bit of work here being proposed next to the existing electrical feed, proposed 2 new fixed windows to get some of the great southern light into the first floor, which is going to be basically our renovated kitchen. And then from that edge going to the east, you can start to see the covered porch and the open deck area. The picture on the bottom left is just the front of the main house. Again, showing you the sort of the language and the look. It's an existing front porch that we like the look and feel. We're always out there. We'd love to do one in the back of the house to just kind of, and again, we live outside, so it's just a great feature. And again, some of the proposed and existing windows, which we can get into in a little bit more detail, but again, aluminum clad windows and or doors to match, and again, try and stay with the language of the existing house. Next slide then is continuing. Upper left is a view standing in the parking lot and looking south, the parking lot that's north of our house and looking south. And again, the diagram there starts to show, if you look at it starting left to right, that mud room on that back, it sticks out about 6 feet. There's that little bump out. That would be removed. There's one window that's labeled D. That's an existing window in our kitchen today. What we'd like to do, if you look at the elevation, is keep that window and add 2 additional windows so we just get more natural light into the kitchen area. And then all the other windows remain on this facade as well. And then again, you'd start to see, per the drawn elevation, the covered porch and the open deck. And then you see diagrammatically the stairs taking you down to the basement. On the bottom image here, oh, sorry, if we can go back, sorry, thank you. The bottom right image starts to be the main house, the rear yard. So again, you can really get a good look at the kind of the little mudroom that exists there today, up off that raised porch with the door and again, that porch area, wood porch that would be removed. There's 2 existing double hung windows there that are labeled in the middle there B. And then to the right, there's 1 fixed single pane window labeled A. Those would be the area work that we're talking about. Everything from the new roof line, if you look at the elevation then to the left, everything from that roof line up existing to remain. So really we're talking about a little bit of surgical work on this lower half here for the windows, the man door into the kitchen on the right, and then to the left of the back of the house, we're talking about, again, probably similar if it's Marvin or Pella, sliding windows there. And then the roof deck, or excuse me, the porch deck and the trellis stairs down. Next slide then this is jumping into the coach house. And again, we have some drawn elevations as well because the fences sort of block some of the view, but upper left-hand corner, that's the east elevation. So again, we're standing in the parking lot to the east of us, looking back at the main house, at the coach house. So there's, what you'll see is, there's 2 windows on the first floor that kind of just peer into a mechanical room. You see a little bit of a man door peeking above the fence line. And then there's a little eyebrow and a little dormer that is on this elevation. What we'd like to do, again, with the fence line, with the parking lot, we don't necessarily need windows since we're proposing garage space on the first floor. So there's no windows in the proposed east elevation. But what we're doing is creating more of an architectural dormer between where there's an eyebrow and a dormer today, and making it a little bit larger scale, bringing some natural light into what would be the kitchen in the coach house. The bottom left image is, again, standing on the north parking lot, looking across the fence line at what is existing north elevation. Again, similar concept. There's 1 window center line of that garage. We'd taken out, it could be put back in if we wanted to. And then there's a pair of sliding windows that are tough to see. They're labeled J, and you can see them on the elevation details on the right. Just a really bad single pane sliding windows. For some reason, they're like commercial grade. We were just kind of cleaning up this elevation with new windows. A lot of the existing trim and things like that you see on the coach house and on the main house, salvage as much as possible, reuse as much as possible. But where we have vinyl siding on the white portion of the house, or the coach house, and the blue, which is cedar shakes, we are proposing hardy board to match as much, the best as possible, the scale and size. And that starts to be the siding profile details that you see on the bottom right of this page. Next slide then. Again, this is probably the biggest change I would say on the coach house. And it really happens where the lower half of the coach house. Today, it's a concrete apron with 2 garage doors, a man door, and then some really great old wooden not barn doors, but bifold open doors, swing doors with some windows in them. Pretty cool doors. We're actually going to salvage those, and we're going to use them inside the coach house on the first floor as a goal, and use them as sort of barn doors to separate the living space from the bedroom. Just a little side note. On the top half there, you have this beautiful existing dormer with some really nice scroll detailing above the window head, and this kind of great kind of faux window. It doesn't let any light into space because of the lower ceiling. So what we'd like to do is, in the new elevation, at least in this portion of the dormer, actually activate that window. We're going to raise the ceiling up so you can get natural light, not only through the 2 windows we're proposing to replace, but also through that sort of specialty decorative window, and really sort of activate it and make it beautiful. The existing eyebrow would remain. We just put in new lighting, new windows. The deck that you see off to the right, which is quite honestly dangerous, we don't let the kids on. We're going to replace that with a simple deck, and then that also becomes a nice canopy coverage for people going in and out of the coach house. And then just to kind of clean up this elevation, because it's a little bit of a mess, the thought was, can we come in and just do 3 nice, really carriage style, garage doors with glass lights in them, sort of mimicking a little bit of what was there, but in just a different language. And then the last picture on the bottom left here is the existing south. So again, this is standing against my neighbor's fence, looking south. Again, you see this pretty scary deck and stairs. That gets removed. We do have 1 window on the lower portion of the garage, and then on the top portion there's 2 double hung windows. There's a man door that you can't necessarily see, and then there's another to the right, another double hung window there. Lots of security bars and grills on the exterior of those windows. So again, our goal is to just really clean this up. We're going to keep the existing little sort of roof over the existing man door, replace it with a glass light door, replace these 3 windows here with nice double hung new windows, replace the cedar shakes, replace the roofing, replace the vinyl siding, and then put in the 2 man doors on the bottom here in the elevation that you see. Again, 1 in the garage and 1 is the entry vestibule into the coach house. And I think we have a couple plans to run through. Oh, sorry, we can probably fly through these guys. Oh, sorry, I guess we don't have the plans. Basically plans just to talk about in concept. The program of the first floor of the existing coach house today is garage space with a small mechanical room. What will happen in the future is a, again, 2-car garage, storage for kids stuff, and then first floor vestibule with stairs up to the second floor. Second floor would be a roughly 850, 900 square foot single use apartment. Actually, it's going to be for my in-laws, so I have built-in babysitters. The main house, besides the addition of the covered porch and the trellis and the things like that, we are renovating inside the house, as we showed you, adding 2 additional windows on the north side, 2 additional windows on the south side, and then the work on the east elevation. And then we're going to renovate the inside, is going to be reworking that basically 10, 12 feet in for a new kitchen space. And I think that if I didn't cover anything, please, I think that's what I have to offer up. So if there's any, I'm sure there's some questions.
Julie, please.
Oops. So how did the front, which is a little hard to see, the front of the house has a certain vocabulary of the columns, and it's, you just sort of, well, you had that vocabulary, you didn't use it, you didn't choose to use it on the rear, and so the scale of those, you know, vary. What, I don't know how wide they are, those posts, but it just feels like, I guess my question is, why didn't you not use the vocabulary of the front of the house just to make your trellis and make your porch? Because it feels really foreign to the existing vocabulary.
Yeah, and maybe we could go back to the front house picture, right there, back one, there you go. So yeah, so they're beautiful columns. They're handcrafted wood columns. I mean, they're absolutely incredible. And the detail on the capital is not even apparent in here, but I mean, you can start to see the dark blue that's at the top there that still has to be painted. It's all hand carved. It's absolutely incredible. They're tapered columns. They also have some details that you can kind of see shadow line with some carvings in them. I don't even know if you could replicate that work today, in all honesty, with the craftsmen I know. In all honesty, we probably kept it a little simpler from a constructability standpoint and a cost standpoint. We are going to use wood columns. They're all going to be painted and trimmed out, all white to match. And then we have some similar details. Again, the roof that exists here today is a metal roof.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to match that on the back half of the house. It's a wood trim on the underside of the existing roof. We're going to match that on the back half of the house. So we are trying to match some details. These columns, they're incredible. It'd be tough to replicate them, but it's something we could study if we wanted to change the scale of them.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just so different. I mean, you can get columns with emphasis and they don't have to be carved, and, you can't, I think it's just the thinness and the scale of these. It's such a kind of, it's just the vocabulary has nothing to do with the house. And I know it's on the back, but that's all.
Got it. No, it's good feedback.
I'm sorry, I'm still looking through. Do other people have questions while I'm trying to figure this out? All right, do we have any comments from members of the public? Any further discussion from commissioners?
On the main house, again, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it on my other screen here. The siding, existing versus proposed is what?
It's existing as hardy panel right now on the main house.
Okay.
Can you repeat that material again?
It's a hardy, on the main house is a hardy panel.
Is that existing?
That is existing.
And is that what you're going to continue to use on the house and coach house?
Correct. The goal is to make, right now it's it's vinyl with vinyl on the bottom white, and then cedar shakes on the light blue, the top portion on the dormers. So we'd like to unify the whole house and coach house to have a common look and feel.
I know I'm still trying to reconcile the model against the drawings of the new construction on the east side. It just, I'm looking like a sheet AMH, what is that, 2.0, 15 of 97. Just trying to, it's a difficult drawing to read, maybe because of the kind of flattening out of the.
Are we
How
talking-
wide are those columns? Like
These columns right here?
in the back, the new ones you're putting in?
Yeah, they are 6 by 6 square wood columns with trim around them. So they probably, when net, they're probably gonna be what, 7.5 inches.
And how tall are they?
They go, I want to say, and I'm going from memory here, they're probably about 12 feet.
Mm-hmm. So they're going to look a little like sticks.
Yeah, no, I mean, your point is well taken. I could see, like looking at this now, especially, for example, looking at the bottom elevation, bottom left, and then if you look at the picture on the upper left, right, that's where the front porch is, and there's also a covered carport, right? You see the two columns that are on the almost on like the fence line. I now that, I mean, in all honesty, when we drew this and looked there, we're like, oh yeah, this looks good, this looks good. But from what you're saying, I kind of feel like our columns look weeny. I mean, they need a little more robustness and detail would help them. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Well, I think, Tom, the issue is that you've got the columns for that covered porch. And even if you replicated or at least tried to use the language of the front columns and the ones on the side,
yeah,
those are really up on fairly tall pedestals, if you want to call the stone a pedestal.
Yeah, right.
You still have the problem of this extra, this open area that you've built out. Those columns, I don't think you'd be using the same type of language there because there is no roof, there is no,
yeah, can we go to the 3D rendering? And I think, sorry, we're just back a couple. One more, either probably back either this bottom right image or this bottom left image, right? Yeah, I kind of think now, I mean, heck, I don't know. We kind of put that trellis element in there for a little bit of decorative and then hang twinkly lights and you know the routine, right? But I don't know, maybe it's not even necessary and you just do nice columns there and then you get rid of the trellis thing.
Yeah, well, I think that would be more successful unless you do a trellis that is a more, there's traditional trellises with beams, but you could.
I think we went a little too farmhousey, like You know what I'm saying? I think we started to get on that language on the back here, and it kind of just maybe took on a life of its own.
I mean, in fact, if you look at the front of your house compared to the front of your neighbor's house to the south.
Yeah, they just redid that for us. They were in front of you guys about a month ago.
I think it's page 4 of the packet.
Yeah, this is actually during construction. They went through the same process, and they did the fiberglass columns.
So they have columns going from, the floor to the ceiling.
Yeah.
That are meatier, that, kind of match the feeling of your columns,
Totally.
even though,
No, I mean, I think it's a valid point, and I think it's worth studying. I agree with the feedback for sure. I think I'd probably rethink that whole trellisy thing.
I think you can get, whether they be wood or fiberglass, you could get, as Julie said, you can get them with an entasis or a taper.
Yep.
And I think that would solve it. But if you go back to your 2 renderings, wherever they were, well, either that one, this one, the one on the lower right begins to look like you've got this nice porch that wants those same columns.
Yeah.
And that really raises the question of that trellis. I think the trellis could have been a separate element. I wonder whether if you pulled the deck out and literally made it a freestanding element, even with its own columns and a little better detail at the top. I mean, right now, I hate to say it, it looks like just somebody glued a bunch of sticks together, and I apologize.
No, I think I'll tell you the way the pricing is coming in from our contractor, that's probably going to need to be gone potentially anyways. So you save me some money.
Better off. I mean, architecturally.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of leaning towards changing up the columns. I think that's great feedback. And then the trellis just probably, its day is come and gone.
Yeah, if you go to the next slide, the upper right, you begin to see that, the columns would be really nice if they were the same columns as in front. And then you look at it and you go, what are those other things sticking out towards the coach house?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny view. And I think you were replicating all, I guess pretty soon they were all going to be the same size.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see losing those, opening up the view and just doing nicer columns for the 4 main columns that are happening on the back of the house.
Then I had a separate question. I just wanted to confirm, this is in the Ridge Historic District, but it's not a landmark house, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So I was looking at the coach house, like in page 20, the old barn doors of the coach house.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, they're horrible, but cool. I mean, they don't,
yeah.
but they're cool.
Which is just a historic feature, speaking to the use of the coach house originally, but I guess I would give more leeway since it's not a landmark. It's just a contributing.
Mm-hmm.
Little fun fact. I mean, it's kind of cool. When those doors open, you go in and it's all wood floor with a trough. So it's literally where they kept the horses. So it's cool in that respect. Not cool that the floor is all rotting and the doors don't function. But they're cool. And we love them. We love them. And like I said, we're going to salvage them and put them upstairs and use them as sliding barn doors for dividing the space because they're history. It's a beautiful part of history.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of those doors, had you given thought to, the 3 new doors that you have kind of have, you're introducing kind of a ribbon at the top of the windows at the top. Had you given consideration to having those mimic the original ones that were there a little bit more with the 6 lights over the 3 panels?
Yeah, we did. In all honesty, we did study that and had that as an elevation. This like or dislike the sort of angled piece. The single row of lights felt better. It felt really proportionally odd with the 2 rows. So that's kind of where we ended up with just a single cleaner, simpler roll.
What about the 3 panels? Because that diagonal element is definitely a new style that you're kind of introducing, a new element that you're introducing.
Yeah, I mean, that something it doesn't make or break anything. I mean, it might even be simpler having almost nothing there and a simple raised panel.
Is the diagonal on the surface and that's a solid door, or is that a diagonal behind a sheet of glass? I was trying to understand that.
No, it's a solid door. The glass, there'd be 6 glass lights across the top, a solid door with like a raised trim detail, dividing it almost into the 2 rectangles with an angular piece between.
Why not use the same verticality that you have on the old barn doors on the existing instead of these diagonals? If you want to brace it,
Yeah.
you do it on the back side. But you've got those verticals, you know, barn doors that really mimic the, the divided light. And you've got the same 3 small pieces of glass that you could just come down with a vertical element below.
Yeah, I think that would work just fine.
Yeah.
And then it'd have some relationship to those relocated doors on the inside too.
Right. It would tie in better there.
Yeah.
And one more question just about the siding. So the main house already has new hardy board, and what is the reveal on that?
It's on, I believe it may be, I can't remember what page it's on, and I don't remember it offhand, but there you go. So that is beyond my eyes. All right, the existing vinyl siding is 4 inches of the white, and then there's a 3-inch trim on the corners, and then there's a 6-inch sheet metal banding where it meets the roof. The hardy board trim vertical, so then we'd be going 6, 6, 3.5. So it's a slightly larger profile.
And it's just that there's not a 4-inch available, right, for the hardy board?
We were doing the 6 to match the main house, so that there was a commonality between the main house and the coach house.
But the existing is the 4-inch now.
Well, yeah, it's a 4-inch vinyl siding today, correct?
Vinyl. Do you know like what the, is there any wood siding that you know of? Like, do you know what the wood reveal is?
No, it's all just plywood. They ripped off all the old good stuff.
Oh, okay.
And they have insulation and vinyl siding.
Got it. Okay. So then you're matching what's on the main house.
That was the thought. Then at least there's a, when you're in the yard, you feel that there's similar structures related.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Do we feel like we'd like to see the revisions to at least the main house? I mean, do other people, I mean, I know I'm having it just seems like the changes are going to affect the appearance a lot. I'd prefer to see the.
Oh, no, I think we should see this revision to this because there's a lot of changes we've been talking about, and I don't know what Tom will do. So, but I mean, I would say, oh, yes, you should try to relate the garage and the house and the main house. If you're going to change those columns, you should relate them to each other.
Yep.
So, I think we should see it again. There's too many changes, I think, that we've talked about at least.
Would it be okay to make the revisions and come back next month?
No, I mean, if that's what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think, everybody likes that you're doing the project and it's at its heart, going to be approved, but I think the changes are going to affect the appearance quite a bit.
Yeah. Do I need to update the rendering? What would be like ideal for this group? Do you want to see this whole package updated, or is it purely just do the elevations and maybe do the renderings, or what? Just so I make sure I deliver what you guys would. Obviously, the rear elevations, the side elevations, and
So
things like that.
yeah, I think it's the renderings and the elevations,
Okay, we can do that.
right? Anybody, right?
Yeah, I think on the coach house, the only issue is what, the doors on the,
Yeah, I just said something about the columns. So if
Yeah,
you're,
like you can see it in this, in the elevation A right there, or B west, right? That column to the right that's supporting the porch,
right,
or in column, on elevation C.
Yeah.
We'll change those columns. We'll make them, we'll have a common language of the columns.
that'd be good.
Yeah,
And modify the garage doors too.
correct. That's easy.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
someone like-
Any other questions or comments while, I mean, I know you guys got a long night, so I appreciate it, but anything
No.
else?
No, it's good.
I'm just glad you're taking care of this house. It's a great house.
It's an incredible house. My wife will never let me get rid of it, I'm sure. We sold our house on, we found this house in the course of we found it on a Friday, bought it on a Sunday.
Great.
While we were selling our other house. It was insanity, but we love it. It's an old, beautiful boned house, and it's good to finally kind of bring it back to life.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks. Would someone like to make a motion to continue this to our next meeting?
I will.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay. I make a motion that the property at 1735 Asbury Avenue, case number 20 Pres-0293, will be, oh my God, what's the term? Will be
We continue to November 10th.
Thank you so much. Will be continued to the commission hearing next month.
November 10th is the date.
November 10th, thank you. My last meeting, November 10th, for the coach house exterior renovation and the main house addition and covered deck addition and porch addition.
Thanks. A second, please.
second,
Elliot, second. Roll call, Commissioner Bojan. Did we lose Beth or muted? Okay.
Aye.
Is that an aye?
Aye.
Okay, sorry. Commissioner Hacker,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Idall,
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick,
aye.
and I'm an aye, so it's continued. We'll see you
Thank
next month.
you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Last matter of new business is 1044 Lakeshore Boulevard.
Nathan,
I forgot that word, continuation.
that happens after 5 years and 11 months, Julie.
Okay, so Mr. Kipnis was, is he there?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So thank you for putting us on tonight's agenda. I know we were originally for next month. So this is a home, and by the way, I have the owners on here as well if we need to ask them anything. So this is a really great home right on the lake, 1906, an all masonry building. And we're not doing too much to it, but there are definitely some things on every facade that need a little bit of work. And then also we are adding solar panels as well. So if you just want to kind of move through the plan. So the things you can see on the site plan that we're reworking are the solar panels facing south, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. And then there's we're taking off the deck. This home has an easement agreement with Illinois Landmarks, except on the west facade. So all the facades and the roof. We are also adding, if you go to the next image, this is just showing the floor plan. So the main floor, we're not really doing that much except for the kitchen. The work basically is in the west half of the building. If you go to the next plan, you'll see we're enlarging the kitchen and modifying a bathroom and things like that. The primary thing is there is a sunroom on the southeast corner that currently does not have a door out. So you go into the sunroom and you can see the lake, but you can't get there. And this house is funny because I don't know that they actually took the lake view into account when they built this. It's almost as if it was a stock plan or something similar to that, because it really doesn't address the lake as much as it should. So we want to add a door where a pair of windows are, and then have a stone step coming down that is similar in design to the stairs that are on the north. And then if you go to the next image, this is the existing second floor. And basically what we're doing is putting the master bedroom on the east. And we are adding a window. If you go back one slide, you see on the east wall, just to the south of the common closets, we're adding a window there. And you'll see on the elevation why. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that window pop in. And then up in the attic, just kind of very minimal work, and same in the basement, the next two slides, the next three slides. And then we'll get to the elevations. So this is the existing east elevation. So there's three things that are being modified. I mentioned in the lower left, there's that arched window, and we're going to put a door in there. On the upper, in the attic, there's a slider, which is clearly from the 1970s or 80s. And we're changing that to what was there, which are double hung windows. And then the key thing is we're adding this one window in on the second floor to the left of that diamond detail that matches the window to the right. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see it. And it's symmetrically set about that diamond. So that diamond is dead center in that masonry area. You can see the doors that are in place in lieu of the two windows, and you can see the new double hungs in lieu of the slider. Go to the next image. So this is the north facade. There's two sets of casement windows on the third floor. Those are not original either, so we're replacing those. And there's an image from a real estate ad from the 1950s that was in the packet that shows that those were double hungs that were divided. And we're going to go ahead and put those in as well. So if you go to the next image, you'll see that. Because we're adding a solar array on the south, we're taking out one skylight that was there. So we're adding a new skylight on this north facade. So you can see that in the roof. And then there's the deck, which is a trellis deck on the right. And you can just barely see the stairs coming down on the far left. Go to the next image. So here, the main couple things are, there's a very small dormer in the center of the south roof that is in a storage room. That is really a nothing room. So we're removing that to put the solar panels in. And then you see on the second floor, that very tiny window, that is being replaced with another window of a similar window as the other ones on the second floor. So if you go to the next image, you'll see that. So this is a 7.5 kilowatt array. The one that was presented before was about a 10.5. I have a funny feeling ours is going to generate more power. It's facing south at 35 degrees, which is almost perfect, unobstructed. And that's that facade. So if you go to the next image, this is the west. So right now there's a deck that's made of kind of a poured deck made of Trex, and we're going to replace that, and also those casement windows on the first floor. We're going to change these all to, we're changing the layout slightly. Those are going to become doors that come off of the kitchen. And if you go to the next image, you'll see that. And then there's an additional door that becomes a kind of a Juliet balcony that's matching that. So there's the rhythm of those going around. And then there's a door to the mudroom to the right, and it's slightly covered. The trellis has a slight roof over that. So when they come in from the garage, they have a covered area to go in. And we changed, if you go back one, I'm sorry, the stair going down to the basement, we changed that. It was coming in from the north and now it's coming in from the south. You actually had to open a hatch in the deck to get to it, which wasn't very practical. So go to the next image. So this is showing the image of the solar panels. This is really the most minimal view of the house because it's on a corner. I don't think it's inappropriate to show the solar panels. I kind of like that. I think it's a good education, and I don't see any issue with that. So this is a photograph with the 3D model put in the background. So that's the accurate view of what that looks like. You go to the next image. And that's an aerial view of that. So you can see the solar, you can see the door being put in, leading out of the sunroom on the first floor, the additional window, and the window being corrected on the third floor, and then that other square window, I'm sorry, rectangular window on the south at the second floor. Go to the next image. And so this is the east view. You can see that new window put in, and then you can see, I think the masonry detail is not correct in this image. I think it's down a little bit, but anyway, the new windows on the attic, and then the door and the steps leading down to the yard. Go to the next image. And then this is the north facade. Not too much to look at there. Go to the next one. And then this is showing the west facade. You can see the new deck and the stairs cascading down into the yard. And go to the next slide. So these are just the images of the house. Got to say, it's got one of the coolest garages I've ever seen. That's the bottom middle picture. Go ahead to the next set. This is that picture from, I believe, the mid-50s, and you can see the third floor windows are in fact double hung with upper sash divides, so we're replicating that. And go to the next image. And then these are just the pictures of the existing, so you can click through those, but those are showing what's existing there. And the contextual homes in the neighborhood. And the next slide, these are some of the close-up details. So the interesting thing about the door, that image on the upper right is a drain. That sunroom was obviously open many years ago, and that's a drain coming off of it. Someone had put spray insulation and painted it. We're gonna take care of that. But that detail of the brick goes around, and so that's where the door would be sitting. So we'll put limestone in under the door, but it's already projected out right there. Go to the next image. And these are just some details of the existing windows. They have currently aluminum triple tracks. We're gonna remove those. We're gonna remove the existing windows and strip them to remove the lead, and then rebuild them with historically correct materials, and then put a historically correct wood storm window, and then a separate screen window. The storm window will have a hard coat, low-E coating on it for efficiency. And go to the next image. And these are details of those various windows. Might be one more image, I think. So that's just more details of those windows. Oh, and then the solar panels. So what we're doing is we're removing the tile roof where those are going, and then re-flashing, re-roofing that area, and then setting the panels into that. You can't mount panels on those type of tiles on that roof. And that's it.
So Nate, oh, sorry. Nate, I have a question. Tell me again, just, you said there are easements on the facades. That's a question.
Yeah, so we are in process with Illinois Landmarks. We already presented to them.
Okay.
So the north, south, east facades and the roof are part of that. Not the west.
So this is just a question for Carlos and Scott, I guess, and Mark, when because this process, we really haven't dealt with the easement, issue where someone has to also go through Landmarks Illinois for that. That's a separate process. And I think that, and I have no idea, Nate, I was there once and I found that was more restrictive than maybe this commission. So Carlos, how does that work if we approve it, but Landmarks Illinois doesn't? Landmarks Illinois, obviously, that takes press,
Well,
how does it work?
private entity, it's a private entity, so a private agreement between the owner
Yes.
and the program. So the city is the local government that issues the permit or enforcing the local ordinance. So if they don't approve, it's most likely that they will ask them to reduce the impact rather than not.
Right. So I guess what happens is, so if we approve it, I'm just saying, if we approve this tonight, and then Nate doesn't get, hopefully this won't happen, but I'm just trying, if it doesn't get approval from Landmarks Illinois, they have to make changes, then they would have to maybe come back to us, or maybe it's smaller changes and it's just administrative, or maybe it's all fine. Something like that.
It will depend, if the changes are minimizing even the of whatever the solar panels or any other alterations to the building, Yeah, but I don't think that the landmarks can necessarily dictate what the city is approving. It's a separate private and with the owner.
So let me.
And if the owner wants to keep, if the owner wants to keep that agreement with them, they will have to negotiate with them. Whereas we are issuing the permit and we are enforcing the preservation ordinance as a local government.
So let me bring up one point. So Suzanne Germain from Illinois Landmarks mentioned she would be here in this Zoom meeting. I don't necessarily see her on this list, so I don't want to talk if she's not here. I mean, if she's here, she can speak, right?
It looked like she is. There's somebody from Landmarks Illinois on the.
Oh, okay.
This is Suzanne German from Landmarks Illinois. And hi, how are you?
Hello.
We did review this at our last meeting, and overall we approve most of what they're doing. We did have one question about the solar panels that we are working with the owners and their architect on. But it just as a general statement, they can certainly, get a permit from you, get approval from you, and get a permit from the city and do the work. And then if it was something that we didn't approve, then we would have to work with the owner to rectify that. And kind of vice versa. If they did work that we approved and you didn't approve, then the city would have to work with them on that. So hopefully we'll all be in agreement on this, and that's always our goal, is to come to a compromise or an agreement before anything moves forward. So the architect, Nate, let me know that this meeting was happening so that I could participate in this and hear your discussions as well.
Thank you.
So and I believe, Susan, that you subscribe to get the packets as well. Is that correct? You get
I do.
The monthly.
Yes.
Yes. So that you will always know what's happening.
Right. Carlos always sends me the agendas.
Right. I just want to clarify, and Scott, maybe you can also chime in on this. Again, it's a private agreement with Landmarks Illinois and the owner. And because we're issuing the permit and reviewing the application under the ordinance, it's a separate review, and hopefully we will concur on what will be approvable. But I think that in my mind, what it takes precedent is the city's approval. That's because we issue the permit. Now, if Landmarks Illinois approves something and the commission may not, I will find that very hard to even pinpoint an example, because it's my experience that they always have a very meticulous review process, perhaps even harder than Evanston in some ways. Have an incentive,
I would
financial rather
think,
than permit.
I would think the only time it would affect us is if we give approval, but then in order to comply with Landmark Illinois, there's some significant
Changes. Yeah.
what was presented to us, then I would expect you'd have
Yeah.
to come back just to get either depending on it, administrative or full approval of whatever the new plan is.
So
Hopefully that
if you
won't
look at like the business chart of a, crisscross grid of both disapproving, Landmarks approving one and Evanston not, and the et cetera, et cetera. Obviously we want both.
Yeah.
Both
So,
to approve everything, so.
so Nate, when you take off the tile, are you just going to store it? I just wonder if the material. 'cause you have
Well, I mean, I think we would try to, those tiles are tricky. There are a lot of tiles in the basement that the
yeah.
original owner has saved. And there's quite a range of stuff down there, but there are definitely a lot of tiles. I mean, I think the goal is, and I know one of the standards is to be able to reverse this.
Yeah.
So let's say climate change is solved.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Climate change is solved, we can take them off. So,
So Nate, what do you put the actual, the solar panels, you take the tiles off and then how do you mount them? Do you have to you have to see what is underneath the tiles, the shape of the plywood and all of that. And what do you actually put on underneath those?
yeah, so obviously the decking we're going to check, but at the end of the day, there's going to be a new membrane on there, and it's going to be flashed over it, water, and you can see this standoff for the racking equipment. Water will go underneath it and then get kicked out, so it's not going to be getting into the roof structure. It'll be all kind of like a little bathtub, and the panels are set in there.
Any other questions?
Well, I have one question. The windows on that are there metal, they're wood windows? Just describe the windows. The windows that you're putting in are going to be restored single glazed wood. Is that right?
So they're going to be single glazed wood with all the correct, copper crimping and all that.
Right.
Then there's going to be the storm that's an additional glass, but it's got that low E hard coat that's made for that. So those function actually quite well. Those will be nearly as good as any double glazed glass. I mean, they're not going to have argon in them, but they're going to be very high performance relative to certainly single glaze. They're going to be very close to a very high performance double glaze. And this house, by the way, they're going to be doing a lot of interesting things. We're going to try and do it as all electric so that we have a zero carbon here, all sorts of things like that. The owners are very committed to having a healthy interior. We've talked to ComEd already about this being a case study of doing a historic home and updating it for sustainability. So I think it's something that we would love to see Evanston promote as well for the climate action plan. To show how to do it. I think this will be a really good example.
Was there any member of the public here to speak about this other than Representative Landmarks, Illinois? Any other questions from commissioners or discussion items?
I guess just one comment, kind of similar to salvaging the clay roof tiles is same with the little square window. I think that's an original window that you'll be removing from the little dormer that'll be removed.
Sure.
Just, even just keeping that too with the house.
Sure. That's an easy one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got a basement full of old windows that are useless.
Why not?
They're 50 years old or 70 years old.
No, they're 100-year-old.
All right. Would a commissioner like to make a motion to approve?
All right.
Go ahead, please.
Well, nobody else is.
Because it's long.
Long one.
It's really easy. Just say everything on the list. I move that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for 1044 Lakeshore Boulevard in the Lakeshore Historic District, case 20 PRES 0294. For restoring all the existing windows and removing the existing lead and refinishing them, removing all the aluminum storm windows, maybe not all, the aluminum storm windows and replacing them with wood storms. I won't get into the hardy finish, Nate. Removing the existing windows from the sunroom on the east facade and providing French, let's call them French doors. It says French style doors. I don't know what that means. Provide new stairs off the sunroom doors and new landscaping on the east lawn. Removing the existing aluminum slider windows that are not original to the home in the attic of the east facade and providing a set of double hung windows that will match the existing windows and I believe what was originally there. Removing the existing casement windows not original in the attic of the north facade, providing a set of double hung windows. Original windows were double hung. Removing the existing casement window on the second floor of the south facade and providing a double hung window, removing the existing deck and providing a new deck and revised new door and window openings on the first floor of the west facade. I believe it would be, this says proposing a new window on the second floor of the east facade. And then what's not there is removing the small dormer at the center of the south facade roof. Removing a sufficient number of clay roof tiles to allow for the installation of a solar array on the main roof of the house facing south. Applicable standards for construction 1 through 5, 7, 8, 10 through 16, and demolition 1 through 6.
That was, if you never make another motion, Elliot, that was really impressive. Second.
I'm trying to go out in a big flash next week. Or next month.
Seconds. All right. Roll call of the commissioners. Commissioner Boden.
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold.
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Idle.
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm aye. So unanimous in favor. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Good
Appreciate that.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For hanging around, Nathan.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
So thanks. Carlos, you want to move on to minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I provided initially the edited version of the August 11th meeting, and then subsequently I sent to you the clean copy with the edits. And then I also sent the September 8th minutes, which I did not receive any comments. In fact, Elliot said that he didn't have any comments. Our secretary didn't have any comments. So I'm asking the commission to approve both the August 11th and the September 8th minutes.
Okay, so can we take a vote just to approve both? Sure. Let's just do I don't know if we need much. Let's just do a roll call vote to approve both. Commissioner Boden.
Aye.
Well, wait.
You need to make a motion.
All right. Would
I was
somebody
gonna
make
say, I wasn't here September 8th. So
Or you want to do them as two separate ones?
All right, we'll do a separate one. Would someone please make a motion to approve August 11th? Elliot.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the August 11th, 2020 meeting.
Second. Alaka, second. Okay, so we do a roll call vote for August 11th. Commissioner Boden.
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold.
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Idle.
I'll abstain since I was not here on August 11th.
Okay. Commissioner Dudnick.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And the, was it 2401 Ridge from that meeting? They,
404.
2404. So they went to city council to appeal, and they could not get even a second on a motion.
I
Wait.
was, I wanted to
Wait,
make
say that again. What happened?
They
down.
went on the barn, the
Oh,
approval of the previously done barn
Yeah,
improvements. We had turned them down
yes.
to approve existing conditions.
right.
They appealed to city council, and one of the aldermen was willing to make a motion, but there was no second of the motion, so there was no vote and no, the appeal was
Aye.
denied.
Wow.
I wanted to say that I know I went painstakingly over that part of the minutes and kept changing it. Probably.
So did I. Look at that.
And I think the reason is because I'm pretty convinced, knowing that they were turned down by council, that these minutes are going to show up in some court disclosure, or at least being asked to be used, because I don't think these guys are going to quit. I mean, that's just, Mark, you probably have a better feel for it, but I don't think they want to quit at this point.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the consequences will be, and
Yeah, that's
what
it.
the
Yeah.
city will do.
But
No, it's not the city. They have a right to go to circuit court. That's the next level. I know.
Does it mean that they couldn't get a second from the appeal?
The aldermen just weren't even gonna commit themselves to
They
voting.
didn't do what we do, which is we always have a motion and then vote on the motion.
Yeah.
When there was no second, they just said there's no, that means we're not going to accept the appeal because we couldn't even get a motion.
Okay.
It was a procedurally different approach than we followed. I don't know that
But Mark,
right
wasn't it the second time they went before them, or no? Was it the first time they appealed it?
Well, they previously appealed
That's,
the requirement that they do, all the work.
Right.
Per the original approval. They then went and did some work, and they came back to us and again asked for
right, okay.
approval of the existing conditions as they had done, some modifications. So they both of our rulings were appealed.
I had the sense that they were still going ahead with that subdivision of the property, though, which was the thing that brought all the neighbors out a couple of years ago.
I think Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, it's not on the agenda tonight, so maybe if we could just keep
Yeah, let's move
focus
along.
on the items, September 8th minutes.
Agreed.
We still need to approve the September 8th minutes.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the September 8th minutes.
Second. From anybody with-
Gonna die for want of a second, quick. Second.
Okay, Commissioner Bodan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hacker,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinhold.
Aye.
I think Aleka said she was abstaining.
Abstain, yeah.
Commissioner Idle,
Aye.
Commissioner Dudnick.
Aye.
And Commissioner Simon. I'm sorry, so Carlos, turn it to you.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is the Preservation and Sustainability Collaborative Date. We received a memo from the Utilities Committee with their recommendation to adopt the guidelines, and they have a couple of comments in regard to what they feel is more in keeping to the Utilities Commission to encourage the approval of the solar panels as much as possible. And at the same time, acknowledge the importance of maintaining the character of the historic district. So at this point, we have received both the memo and recommendation from the Utilities Commission with the guidelines and comments, and also the Environmental Board. They voted for the version that was earlier version to that one. So we do have the Commission, the Environmental Board, and the Utilities Commission now on the same page as far as the guidelines is concerned. So the next step would be to, you have now the guidelines that would be the first step towards incorporation into the rules and procedures that the commission can officially do that next month. So this will be the introduction of these guidelines for the amendment of the rules and procedures.
Okay.
So thank you, Carlos. And just to add on to that, so the intent is that these guidelines would be slotted into the rules and procedures, likely as Article 9, and then Articles 9 and 10 would move back one number.
Yes, there will be, they will change the sequence in terms of the number of sections we have.
Okay, so they'll be added to our rules and procedures. Will there be any kind of, I mean, we've got all these other commissions online, which was hard work. Will there be any kind of reporting or interrelationship to the city?
I think we intend to provide an update to the Planning and Development Committee of the City Council. I believe that's where the referral came from, and then update them on this process and where we are with it.
Great, okay. Great. Carlos, was there anything else for tonight's meeting?
The only item that we had two members of, or two applicants for appointment to the commission, and at the last minute, Scott made an observation that Ken Hazel, who applied and was nominated for appointment, actually does not live or is not a resident of Evanston. He has a business in Evanston. He is a former resident of Evanston. So at the last minute, we had to contact the city manager's office and let them know that the ordinance requires residency in order to become a commissioner. So they pulled his name. That means that we will have one appointment rather than two. And I guess, Mark, if you don't mind, maybe send another email to the mayor to remind that we have Mr. Jacobson, who applied. Actually was the first applicant out of the batch of 3. So maybe to be reconsidered for appointment. So that's the next step, if we can at least fill 2 seats before the end of the year.
Okay, so I'll send that email tomorrow then.
Yes. If any of you have anybody in mind, let me know so I can contact the person if they can apply for appointment.
What do you have right now? Did you say you have just one?
That would be, yeah, that would be.
Yeah, again, we probably shouldn't talk about names of individuals in the public meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, if you do have suggestions and encourage people to apply, that'd be great.
Do we know, do you have any information whether other people we don't know are being considered? I mean, I think we had, I suggested that, it would be, advantageous to the community to find other people from, different diverse backgrounds. Do we know if there's any activity, or do we know what's going on at all? Do we have any information?
I don't have any direct information from the mayor's office, whether they're seeking actively for new commissioners, in particular for Preservation Commission. But we can continue send names to the mayor's office.
Do they ever request aldermen to submit names for commissions, or?
I don't know if they do that, but I think we can reach out to the aldermen as well.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, we have several openings still, and I think that the city on the whole would really appreciate it if we had people not only with the expertise, architectural expertise we definitely need, but other backgrounds. And some of the commissioners who are no longer in the commission really kind of rounded out the commission in every way with their, different points of view, and certainly were entertaining.
Yes.
Carlos,
so
do we tell people to contact you? I think I had maybe given you a name and an email of somebody to contact, but are they supposed to go to the website and fill out the form? Is that the?
Yes, so in other words, anybody can go directly to the website and apply directly. They don't necessarily need to go through me or Scott. But when people refer a name to me, I contact the person, talk a little bit, give him what it takes, the time to dedicate to be a commissioner, give him a little bit of an overview, and some people will entice to do it. And but anybody can now access the website and apply for any of the boards and committees, commissions directly.
Okay. Any other business tonight?
Do we have like?
Just to mention, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, do we have like a virtual cake or something next month for the commissioners? Is there any formal ceremony for people that are leaving? Or we can decide that?
We usually acknowledge their work, the meeting, but unfortunately we don't have the opportunity to do that, although virtually, but it would be nice to have service for 6 years.
You got to make sure Tim is here so we can say goodbye to Tim.
To who, the what?
I think that would be nice.
I think a song and a drink.
Well, we would have November is their last day as commissioners, so they will have an opportunity to attend the November 10th meeting.
Yeah, we have one more meeting.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to find out. I sent them an email to ask. You're still on for one more.
One
yes.
more.
And
more.
next month we will be looking for the new, or not new, but reappoint or nominate the chair, vice chair, and secretary for 2021 fiscal year. So if we have any intention to nominate yourself or nominate anybody else, please let us know. It will be on the agenda in November, and the election will be in the.
Okay. All right. Speaking of a drink, would somebody like to bring a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in
It's
favor?
9:28 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.